fans, welcome back to Room 237, and I'm continuing my reviews for the Wrong Turn film series. And before I get into that, I hope this will be the video that if you haven't subscribed already, that you'll hit that subscribe button. Also the bell next to it so you can actually get notified when I upload stuff. And if you like the Wrong Turn series or even the sequel, which I don't, but I'll get into that, I hope you'll drop a like on this video. You can also find Room 237 reviews on Instagram and Facebook. So now we get to the one of the first really bad Wrong Turn films. And I will say it's only one of two that I really dislike. The other bad ones in this series I actually kind of see as guilty pleasures. But this one I've never liked this sequel. And this is probably going to be a very easy review to get through because there's not much to this film. And that is 2009's Wrong Turn 3, Left 4 Dead, unrated. Yeah, again, more with the cheesy subtitles, Dead End, Left 4 Dead. This is the first of three Wrong Turn sequels, three consecutive Wrong Turn sequels to be directed by Declan O'Brien. It was written by Connor James Delaney, which that name does sound kind of familiar, but there's not really a way to click on it anyway, so. It stars Tom Frederick, Janet Montgomery, and Tamer Hassan, which the only one that's really noteworthy that I've seen in other films would be Janet Montgomery, who I saw in The Hills Run Red, which I have reviewed on here. Really nothing else worth saying, but except this has often been considered one of the worst sequels in the series. I see it often ranked with this, Part 5, or Part 6. Part 6, I don't remember anything at all, and I don't own it. I'll have to find a way to watch it. 5, I'll get to that. But to me, this is the worst one. This is my least favorite. The best I can give this film is, like with all the Wrong Turn films, it still finds a different and original way to get people into the woods. That's, and like I said that in my review for Wrong Turn 2, but that's the one positive I can give every Wrong Turn film. There's always a different reason why our group of victims are out in the West Virginia woods. But like the first two, it does have an opening kill scene. There's some friends. They're out rafting. I think there's two guys and two girls. But we see the two girls. One is Janet Montgomery. The one next to her, I think, is getting high, but she takes her top off. Her boyfriend comes back. Janet Montgomery leaves so they can have their time. So she gets on top of him. He starts caressing her. And then an arrow goes right through the back of her, out the front of her, and into his hand. So, and then he pulls his hand out and then just runs. And then he walks right into this trap, which is like a square like this that goes over him. And then in some of the worst CGI I've ever seen, we see lines of blood here, and he just splits three different ways. In almost every kill in this movie has terrible CGI with it. And that one kill right there, which also when the arrow goes through her and out his hand, you can see the CGI wound around it, the CGI blood. But I like in that kill with the square that goes over him with, I'm guessing, very sharp blades or twine or something that's able to split him completely into three slices. It reminded me of that kill in Ichi the Killer when he kicks down and splits the guy down the middle, and it's that horrendous CGI. That sets the tone for the rest of this movie. And terrible CGI in the kills is not the only technical aspect that is laughable in this. But that is one of the worst kills in the film, along with the scythe through the face, which I'll get to. But the main plot of the film is that there's this prison. They're going to be transporting a handful of prisoners from one to the next. They got to cross through the area where these woods are. And our characters are... This movie is basically, Con Air takes a wrong turn. That's what it is. In fact, one of our guys, played by Gil Colerin, plays Floyd. He's basically like store brand John Malkovich from Con Air, if he was a skinhead. But okay, we have Tom Frederick as Officer Nate Wilson, who was the Chucky Venn as Officer Walter. And then there's one other cop. They got the Hispanic sort of kingpin guy named Chavez, who's in cahoots with the skinhead, sort of big, larger-than-life guy, Floyd, to work out this breakout during the transport. And then they got this other guy named Crawford, who's a car thief. They got this other guy who's really quiet. And then they got the plant prisoner, who's actually like a U.S. Marshal or whatever. Those are the guys they're transporting. And the acting is absolutely horrific in this movie. And I mean, there's like direct-to-video bad acting. And like I said in Wrong Turn 2, there's some cheesy bad acting in that. But at least with that, it feels like they're parodying the slasher character tropes. With this, it's just... Okay, Crawford, the car thief. I'm guessing he's like the comic relief, but every line, everything he says is like... At some point he says he has to take a shit out in the woods. And he's like, "Ooh, I gotta pitch a loaf." Like... Or like, "Hey, babe." Like he's... And then of course the Chavez and Floyd are just always like... I don't even know how to describe these characters. Floyd is always just like, "Well, looks like we gotta kill him now." And Chavez, every 5 minutes, he's always like, "Move, move, get moving, move forward, let's go, no matter what happens." So they're on the bus, they're driving, they get hit with, there's the tow truck behind them, it's Three Finger. Which earlier, I think it's earlier we established that, okay, Three Finger is the only mutant in this film. Except for the baby from the end of Wrong Turn 2, who is called Three Toe. So I'm guessing it's his son. And he has no shoes. And he's still like a kid. He's like 10, 11, or 12. But he's not in the movie very long at all. Like, as soon as he... Like, the first time he goes to do something, he's taken out. So it's basically just Three Finger that's all that's left. Their tow truck is behind the bus. They hit them, keep hitting them. Of course, Floyd and Chavez think it's their guys ready to bust them out. But they go through the guardrail, they flip over. And Declan O'Brien said he wanted this to be more of like an action movie. So like he dug holes in the ground for a couple of these crash scenes to get like the flip over the camera, like, but it's so like we catch like the tail end of the bus as it rolls over it. I will say the crash of the truck towards the end of the film is a bit cooler. But, oh god. Oh, he also directed Cyclops and Rock Monster. Sci-Fi Channel. He's a Sci-Fi Channel director. And that is the perfect, because this feels like a sci-fi movie. A Sci-Fi Channel movie. In fact, I think I've seen this on the Sci-Fi Channel at one point. Came out in 2009. I'm pretty sure I have seen this on the Sci-Fi Channel. But, so, okay, all the prisoners, they're all shackled together. Or at least, like, half of them are. The one cop, Walter, he's banged up, so Officer Nate has to carry him. Officer Nate doesn't get he can't find the keys for the chains, so they're all chained together. Then at one point, they come across this rusted old, it's not a Brinks truck, but it's like a Brinks truck. They open it, and they all find, like, big bags of cash. So, Chavez decides, okay, we got to meet up with my guys at this area. They're all going to be hunting for us at dawn, because that's when the other prison is expecting us. So he makes everyone carry 2 bags. When Officer Walter can't carry it because of his ankle, Chavez shoots him. And the one quiet prisoner, he kind of reminds me of the one prisoner on Natural Born Killers, because he's very quiet. You kind of get the idea he's like the innocent prisoner, because he talks about how his murder was an accident, but everyone kind of treats him like he's this psycho, like Steve Buscemi in Con Air. But then there's this other guy who goes through a trap, and there's this big scythe that comes down, slices his face, and the effect, they have practical effects, but they just overload the CGI on top of it. So like when his face slides off, what was the kill in Hatchet 2 that had the front half of the face getting cut off? Except that was done practically. This has CGI all around it, the blood, like CGI running blood. It's absolutely terrible. And next to the CGI is the green screen. Because while they're on the bus, they're still driving, the green screen that we see on the side windows and out the windshield, it is as bad as like a sitcom. Like sitcom rear window road driving. Those are the effects on it. And it was made for, I think it was like a $2 million budget. $2 million budget. And I think all the money went into like the pyrotechnics and, you know, the vehicles to make all these explosions. But the guy that got his face cut off with that horrible CGI effect, he was the one that Floyd and Chavez were cuffed to. So they each cut through a leg. So now they have to carry a duffel bag of cash and a leg. Or like a foot and an ankle. And when they cut through it, it looks like such rubber. But then Chavez says, like, cut through the knee joint so you won't have to cut through bone. Because I was thinking, like, oh, that must be a really sharp knife to cut through that. But then, cut through the joint so there's no bone. There's this... And then eventually Janet Montgomery, who I guess for the last 2 days has just been running around the woods away from Three Finger, runs into our group of our 2 officers and killers. And she gives us the exposition so they know what they're up against. Like, it's these mutant inbred cannibals. They've killed my friends, and they're going to kill all of us. And, of course, they're all like, been in prison a long time. That's that Floyd guy. But of course, the more kills there are, the more bags, less people have to carry. And this just goes on until, like, pretty much Officer Nate, there's this one point where the quiet prisoner is talking to him. He's like, that's the 4th time we've passed that tree. Like, oh, what are you doing? Like, obviously Chavez is going to catch on. And he says, I'm just trying to bide my time. We have a couple hours till dawn. Pretty soon, FBI, SWAT, U.S. Marshals are all going to be on top of us. So he's just leading them around this loop in the woods while Three Finger hunts them down. But there's this one trap where I think the trap doesn't kill... I'm pretty sure it doesn't kill anybody. It's kind of like a mouse trap, but it's got like a bunch of spikes on it. No. But Three Toes comes out to attack. They almost kill him, but Chavez decides, why don't we send this guy a message? So he takes out a knife, and then the next time we see that trap, we see his head is on a spike, and Three Finger gets furious. Which, I like that line, because they're all walking. And Chavez, they all hear Three Finger screaming. And he's like, guess he learned his lesson. And then Janet Montgomery is like, or you just pissed him off. It's cheesy, but I do like that line. Because much of the dialogue is very deplorable in this movie. Like, when they're all walking after they first get Janet Montgomery to walk with them. Because Chavez wants to keep her so that she can carry 2 more bags of cash. But that guy Crawford is like, hey, baby, I can jack any car your sweet little ass wants. Like, every single line is always like... But then they find a way to break all the chains off so they're all separated. And there's one trap that probably has the least amount of CGI, at least until the actual kill comes in. There's the tow truck. So they all send that scrawny Crawford guy to go hotwire it. He thinks it's a trap, so he walks over to it, but he's behind it. Three Fingers inside. He turns it on, and it's like on this barbed wire, just wraps him up in like a really tight net. He's all wrapped up in barbed wire or razor wire. Then Three Finger just drives off with him swaying and screaming. But then when he's on the road, I mean, yeah, it's basically just... I mean, hopefully it's practical because it's just cuts and blood. He's wrapped up in razor wire. But once he actually gets on the road with all the green screen road or, trees in the background, he lowers the tow truck thing and he just starts dragging on the CGI road with CGI blood and viscera. And oh my god, so much CGI in this movie. Eventually, a sheriff and a sheriff's deputy, first the deputy goes out because I think they get a call that the bus never showed up, or they saw the bus on the side of the road. So she goes out, but when she gets to where the bus is, we hear Three Finger laughing, so we know she's dead. Then the sheriff goes out with the dog, and he catches up to Officer Nate, Janet Montgomery, Chavez, the quiet prisoner, and I think Floyd. Oh, because they're trying to get to the watchtower for the first film. They finally get to the watchtower. see it's all burnt. It's burnt down. And then we get like the reverse cannibal holocaust because Three Finger throws this spear and it goes through the officer's or the sheriff's like mouth and then out his ass. It looks like CGI. There's a character in the beginning of the film that gets the spike to the like through the mouth and out the back of the head as well. And that these characters, they're so forgettable. Like, I literally just got done watching this about an hour ago. And I already forgot a lot of it. Eventually, Floyd and Chavez, who had this agreement that, you know, Chavez can have one bag of everyone's money as long as his guys doesn't kill them, and they each get to keep one bag wherever they get to wherever it is they're going. But eventually they have a falling out. They get into a big fight. And if you're wondering why Chavez is calling all the shots, it's because he's got a shotgun and like 2 pistols. Because the first officer to get killed, which was right after the crash, had a shotgun. But Floyd and Chavez getting into a brutal fight. Chavez, Nate, and Alex, which is Janet Montgomery, they run off. They hide all the sacks of money. They run off. Floyd wakes up. He finds all of it. He's trying to carry all the bags, but he goes out to like this river of boulders, and Three Finger throws a Molotov cocktail at him, which burns him and all the money. So Chavez is standing there going, my fucking money, my fucking money. All right, let's go. Like, after every kill, after every major thing, he just looks at whoever's left. It's just like, all right, let's go. Chavez, I think, gets like a hook through I think he gets like because him and Three Finger do get in a fight, and Three Finger's got like this giant meat hook, which I think he gets killed with somehow. But eventually Alex gets taken. Oh, because Chavez uses her as bait. He sees the truck with Three Finger. He throws her. And so Three Finger takes her. And then she's tied up back at the Three Finger's house with the naked deputy who's wrapped up in razor wire as well. Which she's alive just long enough to be like, help me, and then dies. Nate decides to go back to save Alex. I think everyone like splits up. I don't know, this movie's so forgettable. But Chavez gets killed. When Nate decides to go back for Alex, him and the quiet prisoner separate. And that's when the whole, like, you really did kill that bartender, did you? No, I didn't. He's like, I'll tell him he didn't make it. No one goes looking for a dead con. And he just goes off. He goes off, but then he comes back at the very end. So Nate goes to save Alex. He does have the sheriff's dog with him. And Three Finger gets like stabbed. He gets rammed with the spike that has Three Toes' head on it. Alex, who just got freed by Nate, charges him, and the spike comes right out of him. And then he falls. So he gets like the spike with his son's head on it. And then we get probably the silliest green screen effect of this whole film. Is they get in Three Finger's truck. They're driving. And then out of nowhere, Three Finger's standing in the middle of the road. And he has his hook. So they swerve. They swerve around him. But he uses his hook to catch the tow chain. So now we get the side of the truck with the green screen behind him, and he just kind of hooks the chain, gets on the bed of the truck, and then he starts axing through the roof of the truck, which on the inside, the cuts and the axe is CGI. Looks awful. But they go off this like little cliff or hill. They hit a tree. Three Finger flies off. But then the good prisoner comes back. He helps them out of the truck. And eventually, Three Finger gets his own hook through his jaw and like out his head. And it's almost like no reaction. Of course, both parts are CGI. Because even he's kind of... Actually, I don't even think his head moves. I think the effect moves. But it's just like he has no expression. But then Nate just kind of flings him up on the hood of the truck. And then this is laughable as well. The wrecked truck then catches on fire. And right before it explodes, we see it like up close Three Finger laying on the hood of the truck with flames kind of in the foreground. If you pause it and look carefully, there's no face. It's obviously a dummy, but they didn't make up a face. It's like a crash test dummy. There's no nose, no eyes, just the shape of a head. It's like, how much? I've seen movies for less than $2 million that had more effects and more effort put in the effects. So then all the cops show up, or all the U.S. Marshals show up. Well, it's just Nate and Alex. Which earlier in the film, after the sheriff leaves to find them, we see the U.S. Marshals meet saying, all right, we got men out there. We got to find them. We got to bring them back. We got to get the guys that, possibly hold them hostage. But then they're not seen or heard from again up until the end of the film when it's daylight and everyone's dead. Or the mutants are dead. So then the end of the film is, because Nate, his sort of story is he can't wait to retire. He wants to go to Florida. He's always struggled with money, but now he has all this money, but he wants to get away from it and go somewhere safe. He doesn't want to carry this money. But right before the credits, we see a door open, and it's Nate who went back to the cash truck, and he's like, oh, Florida Beach, here I come. He's flipping through the money, and then with CGI blood soaking the shirt and running down, we're like, oh, there's more mutants. He falls. Nope. It's the quiet prisoner, the good prisoner, who comes up and he says, never trust a con. And then so he starts taking the money, and then back to, we see the back of some other mutant who was not in this film at all. He's got like a bat with like lawnmower propeller blades on it. He walks up to him, cut to black, scream, end of the movie. So yeah, that mutant who wasn't involved whatsoever is now the final survivor, and he killed the good prisoner. So yeah, this movie, I thought this review was going to be shorter because it really is straightforward. Bus full of prisoners, gets wrecked, walk through the woods till they're all dead. The kills are all horrifically poorly done. With whatever bit of practicality the effects did have, there's just CGI overcoating the hell out of him. And when there's CGI like an axe or an arrow, just like with that one double head kill in Wrong Turn 2, either the effect is moving or the actor is moving and the other part is standing still. Any part that's dripping blood is CGI, which always looks horrific. Like, you can't even use fake blood or squibs. But whether it's that slice and 3-part effect, which I would say is the worst looking effect in the whole film, and it's one of the first ones we get. But also that one with the face slice. Oh, now I remember how Chavez gets killed. Him and Three Finger fight, and he Hannibals the top of his skull off. And I cannot tell if this is some of the worst practical brains I've ever seen, or CGI. It almost looks see-through, and it's kind of jiggly. Like, they used the most transparent orange gelatin ever, but Three Finger just kind of takes part of it and then eats it. It was like one of the worst looking brains I've ever seen. I can't tell if it's CGI or some sort of gelatin. It looked like both. But every kill, if the kill itself doesn't have CGI, well, no, every kill does have CGI. The aftermath, like when the guy that falls in 3 parts, and we see sort of the vivisection slices of him. Okay, I guess that looks practical. Yeah, this is the slasher film that you see on Sci-Fi Channel. It definitely shows. I think I've even seen Wrong Turn 4 on the Sci-Fi Channel, but 4 and 5, I think, has less CGI. No, in fact, I know it has way less CGI. And people call those movies worse than this. I'm sorry. I think this is absolutely the shittiest one. And I'm only saying that because I don't remember Part 6. And Part 6 is worse than this, then holy fuck, man. But yeah. Awful dialogue, deplorable dialogue, shitty characters, deplorable acting. The only good thing about the kills would be their creativity, sort of like the razor wire rap. But even then, it just gets CGI'd all to shit. Or the practical effects look just so fake, it's laughable. But yeah, fuck Wrong Turn 3. This movie's a piece of shit. It's the only one that I own that I'll say is a piece of shit. The other ones that I dislike are at least guilty pleasures. So yeah, I hope you'll hit like if you like the Wrong Turn series or agree with me that this is a piece of shit sequel. And stay tuned for the rest of the Wrong Turn series. Thank you for watching.